Oh man, been a while since I've made a video. Guess it's about time to make another one, huh? But first, need to make some coffee, and then we'll start this thing. 1 second. All right. Well, that finishes up. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what we're in for today. So, as the title indicates, we're gonna be taking a look at the B74 and just gonna do some nice shots of it, body on, body off, you know how it goes. And then I have two very special guests that are gonna come on today to talk about the B74 with me. Spencer Rivkin and Ray Munday. Super knowledgeable guys, really looking forward to what they have to say. Hope you guys enjoy it too. So let's go ahead and continue setting this up. Actually, if any of you guys have ever been curious, let me show you how I do this stuff. The detail shots I shoot with my 100mm macro lens. Really nice, lets you get really close up to it because like with this lens, watch, it won't focus right now because it's too close. But if I had this lens on, I could get really close and you could see some really cool detail there. Anyways, got this nice big bright light here above my dining room table, and it is a Aperture 120D Mark II. That thing, super bright, gives off a really nice color, makes the car look nice and purty. It is a Manfrotto fluid head, and it lets me get nice, buttery, smooth movements. And that's pretty much it, how I get the product shots for my cars. Little bit of equipment there, little pricey, but I think it's worth it because I kind of do this as a profession, and then it helps set myself apart in the RC community, letting you guys know that I really care, and I try to get the best shots that I can for you so that we can all learn and grow and do all that fun stuff together, I guess. So, hope you guys like the video. We'll go ahead and jump into a quick little thing here, and we'll see you on the other side.
I know I said I like to be alone, only 'cause it's all I've ever known. And I can be myself and no one's home. You're stepping on my comfortable routine. You're messy and so much louder than me. I'm happier than I have ever been. Now I wanna tell you all my good news, give you a spot to leave your shoes, spend all my rainy afternoons getting high on you. I don't know, maybe this means love. All I know is I like you so much. Yeah, you walk in and I swear it's enough to get high on you. I don't even need as much caffeine, waking up with you right next to me. La da 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 da, got me feeling 16 lately. You give me such a rush, like breathe you in and I'm alright. Floating, I'm hoping I don't come down.
Hey guys, my name is Ryan Styles Harris, and in this video today, a long-awaited video, a little bit late. I know it's not exactly breaking news, but the Team Associated B74 came out, and I finally got mine together, and I got it to my local track. And oh man, I was really impressed with it. It is a box stock setup. I just kind of set the ride height for what I thought was appropriate for the track, and I threw it down, and it has just been a blast so far, and I'm really looking forward to driving this car some more. But I'm really excited today because I get to have the one and only, somebody he may or may not have had a hand in developing it. I don't know. We'll ask him, see what he says. But Spencer Rivkin. Spencer, welcome to the channel.
Hey Ryan, how are you?
Doing good, man. For those that didn't know, Spencer actually has a YouTube channel that started. Most of you are probably aware, but if you're not, I went ahead and linked it down below. So go ahead on over there, subscribe to his channel, and check him out. Hopefully he'll be giving us a little bit of his time and sharing some of that awesome knowledge that he has with all of his AE cars. Spencer, I really wanted to jump into this car and see if my initial thoughts are kind of accurate or if everyone is kind of on the same page, because I went out and test drove it at my local indoor track near Red's Hobbies. It's a high bite indoor track. It's very high bite actually. We ran on some gold octagons, but I was out there practicing by myself. There wasn't anybody else out there, so I was kind of just like, I think this is it. So right off of the bat, the first thing that I felt like the car did tremendously better than the B64 was like mid and late corner rotation, or the steering was just, I was blown away. It was, where have you kind of felt so far with the car in that area?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Ryan. I think one of the biggest things that initially when driving the car, you'll definitely really notice that the car is a lot more active to drive on the front and on the rear. So, you know, that was one of the biggest things, was to make it have it finishes the corner quite well, as far as just having the most amount of steering, but still have the comfortability of the car entering and exiting the corners.
Question for you, because I was actually pretty pleased with the B64. I know that there was a lot of people that had some differing opinions on it, maybe some shortcomings in some particular design aspects, but what would be the biggest differences that you've noticed so far between the two cars?
Well, initially with the B64, the car, when it came out, it was kind of already behind the 8-ball when it came out, as far as when it came to adjustability wise with the diff heights and axle height. It was pretty limited. To be quite honest with you, that's actually one of my favorite cars still to this day, as far as what we ended on with the B64 setup wise, how far it came along with the updates that they came out with the Ackerman and stuff.
Sure.
But the new B74 is a completely different platform, as far as adjustable roll centers, diff heights, axle heights, efficiency with the drivetrain. You know, from the get-go, when the car was released with this new car, it has pretty much infinity adjustments as far as getting it to work on any surface that we put it on. So that's pretty much where our mindset was when we did all the product and development stages, when we had conference calls on the car, what we needed, what we didn't needed, and it was just all in one box of, you know, wanting to have all the adjustments available right out of the get-go.
So, Spencer, I know that you are Mr. Professional Guy and you run the Premier class, the modified stuff, and then me, little lowly YouTuber Ryan here, I run the 13.5 class. So the spec racers were constantly always trying to find lighter weight stuff, get the car to free up, and that was something that it took quite a bit of work with the B64. You know, we ran the puck system, was pretty much a necessary thing. There was like titanium screws that you could put into the diff cases. There was optional third-party like diff gear, the pins that you could put, like, it was almost endless, and then you just had to keep finessing it to get the car to free up, and eventually, you know, it got pretty good for the spec guys. So what was some of the development or the ideas behind the B74? Did you guys ever have the spec racers in mind?
Yeah, and that's one thing that I'm glad you brought up, was about the spec racers and the 13.5 four-wheel drive classes. It's definitely something that's probably the most popular classes at these events that we attend, and we definitely want to have all the abilities for all the classes, mod, stock, whatever it may be, novice. And one of the things that brought up in one of our email meetings, conference calls, we really wanted to make sure that we had the most efficient drivetrain in the car, have the optional lightweight gears, the internal diff gears, and then the aluminum cross pins that go in the diff. So the car actually comes with aluminum cross pins in the box. So that's not even an option. It just comes with it automatically. So you're saving a bunch of weight there with the cross pins in all three diffs. If you run the center diff, it comes with the cross pins.
That was one of the first things I actually noticed was I was building the cars. I was like, oh, it came with the aluminum cross pins. And then when I had it all together and I put some tires on it, before I had like a pinion on the car, I just kind of like gave it like a little spin. And I noticed immediately, I was like, whoa, this thing is actually a lot more efficient in the drivetrain. So I knew that my, spec racer mind was very pleased with that. So that was really cool.
Yeah, the ring and pinion gear on these cars, on the four-wheel drive car, is definitely a masterpiece. Guys back at the shop, we actually had a lot of samples of which ones we wanted to run, and we finally picked the ones that were the most efficient and the strongest for the guys that do run on carpet with the spec classes or even the modified. Some of the cars on the market, they chip the ring and pinions and you have problems with the drivetrain. So we had you covered when it comes to the reliability with the ring and pinion gears on the super high bite carpet AstroTurf tracks. So it's really important. People, those stock racers are picky, and they want to do everything they can to have the lightweight this, super free that, and the car right out of the box is has you covered hands down.
I totally agree. I was a little skeptical at first, and I was like, oh, here we go. Gonna have to do a bunch of stuff to get it, up to snuff for spec racing. But I feel pretty confident with it, how it is right out of the box. Maybe put the plastic gears in there, center diff, like you said, if that's what you prefer. And I think that thing's going to be really good right out of the box. Well, cool. Spencer, so much awesome information. It so far has felt like an awesome car. I'm looking forward to driving it some more. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys drive it more and win tons of races with it. Thank you so much for giving us this info and continuing to develop this car for us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to seeing you guys out at the racetrack. If you have any questions, you guys can always hit us up on social media, and hopefully you like the car.
Awesome. Thanks, Spencer. We'll see you around.
Yep, thank you.
Hey guys, back again here. We're going to have one more super awesome special guest. A lot of you, I refer to him as like the outdoor master because you guys have seen a lot of his setups in my cars. You probably already know who he is without me saying it, but for those who don't, Ray Munday, welcome to the channel.
Hey Ryan, thanks for having me on, mate.
Yeah, little bit of a full disclosure, a snafu, because I blame it on the fact that I was homeschooled my whole life. And Ray, he reached out. I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey Ray, you want to do a video at this time, this day?" He's like, "Yeah, that sounds great." And I totally forgot that he's literally like on the opposite side of the world, and it is a different day. So Ray messaged me today. He's like, "Hey Ryan, you ready for the video?" It's like, that's tomorrow, right? No, it's not. So sorry about that, Ray.
Oh, that's all right. I enjoyed getting up at 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning.
Perfect. So, Ray, I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say about the B74. I've thoroughly enjoyed it so far, and I know you being the outdoor specialist that you are, I'm really curious to hear what you have to say. We've already talked with Spencer Rivkin, and he's given us his thoughts, and he's obviously very much a master of the indoor racing scene, just winning one of the INS series races here in the States. So, Ray, right off of the cuff, just like, what are your thoughts of this car and the experiences you've had so far?
Yeah, look, I think firstly, I mean, the build was unbelievable. I think everybody's talked about that. Really enjoyed. It's kind of a satisfying build, which is great. From the first lap it hit the track, there's kind of three things that I noticed straight away. Okay. Firstly, the car's so quiet and so fast. It's noticeably efficient in the drivetrain to the point where we had to kind of readjust our driving and our thinking to, it's very easy to actually overdrive it in modified. Incredible steering response. It was responsive straight out of the box, and the jump landing was amazing. This thing lands like nothing I've ever driven before. So those are the three things that really stood out for me when I first drove the car.
Right out of the box, I haven't changed the setup at all. I just went to my local track, it was indoor, so there's a lot of grip, so I wasn't really searching for much. So I'm curious, when you say you've changed a couple things, were you looking for a little bit more grip, or were you just changing it to your driving style? Like, what were you tweaking right out of the box?
A couple of things. Firstly, when I drove the car out of the box with the slipper, but quickly went to the center diff. That's something we always run outdoors, and just wanted to do a quick check. And that makes the car a lot more comfortable to drive. It tends to turn in a bit smoother, and you can get on the power earlier. I think, that's probably in fact, in terms of option parts, that's the main option part I'm running in the car. The nice thing is the kit comes with a lot of tunability and adjustment. Okay. First thing was the center diff, and I run that with 200k center and also run slightly lighter front and rear oil. So I run a 7K in the front and a 5K in the back. And that all basically helps to generate a little bit more traction on our lower grip tracks.
Gotcha. Okay. So right out of the box, I know that it came with the yellow front springs and the blue rear springs, if I'm not mistaken. Are you still running those? Or you change anything there?
No, I am actually. I tried back-to-backing a little bit with some of the settings that we were running on the B64,
Okay.
which was a V1 white rear, and we usually use the V2 blue front on an outside front hole. But actually, I found that the kit spring balance has been fine on our tracks, and I've stayed with that. I have gone up quite a bit in the front oil. I've gone to a 37 weight front oil, and at the rear, I'm using a 30 weight, using the kit pistons still. I've added a little bit of extra droop compared to kit though. So I'm running a 25mm front droop and 29.5 rear.
Okay.
On our tracks, that just helps keep the tires on the ground a bit more. And some of our jumps aren't really that we've got a lot of flat landings or rough landings. That extra droop really cushions the car when you land.
Hmm. That's something overall, this car, I think it has a significant more droop just overall. The shock travel seems to be more than the 64. Is that about right?
Yeah, certainly compared to the 64 kit. One of the things we did a lot of development with the 64 here, and we were running a lot more droop than was in kit. But we kind of got to the limit. You couldn't go any further. This lets you go further, and even half mil, you'll find a half mil of extra droop. You'll really notice in the way that a car lands off a jump or rides through a bumpy section. So it's really good that we've been able to add more droop on this car, on especially our rougher tracks or tracks with flat landing jumps. You'll notice that helps the car a lot.
Now, you opened up and you said one of the things that you noticed, and it's fascinating because I know that you run the modified class, correct?
Yeah.
So the interesting part was one thing that Spencer, I asked him about was because here in the States, we run a lot of the spec classes. I don't know if you guys have much of that over there. Do you run the 13.5 four-wheel?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's very big here as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that. So one thing that I was super excited to see when I put the car together was I immediately could tell on the bench. I was like, whoa, this drivetrain, I haven't done anything weird to the bearings or finessed the gearboxes or anything. It just was way freer than the B64. And it translated into, I immediately was able to drive the car a little bit different. So do you feel the similar way with the modified car?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the 64 was it had a very distinctive sound, and you could actually hear it around the track.
Yeah.
And when my first couple of laps with this car, my best mate Andrew Salvaggi came. He goes, "Why are you driving like such an idiot?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "No, you're spinning up the wheels on the back straight." What I hadn't realized was with the 64, you actually get used to listening to the car, and I had to reprogram myself to not listen to the car and feel the power a little bit more. And but we've noticed that the motors run cooler. Yeah, I run a 5.5 in my car, so it's pretty quick. But even outdoors, you can get a fair bit of temperature in them. This noticeably runs cooler than what it did in the 64 with that efficient drivetrain. And you've definitely got to tell yourself not to listen for the car, but watch the car. But it's really smooth, and it's noticeably quieter, and it's noticeably more efficient. I'm getting cooler motor temps and longer run times out of the car.
Perfect. One quick question there then. So most of the time, the tire situation, are you just running like triple Ds or what do you find yourself on for most of the time you're talking about this stuff?
Look, on our tracks down here, we've got a lot of natural clay in our track in Australia. So in our soil, so our tracks tend to be a mixture of clay and dirt.
Okay.
We're in winter at the moment where it's been wet, but when it does dry out, it actually tends to groove but become kind of a dusty groove. So the tires that I'm running, generally when it's a bit wetter, I'm really liking the new JC Sprinters.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're really good on our tracks. There's a lot of that fine pin gives a lot of surface area, but it works whether it's wet, it works whether it dries and is dusty. So
Okay.
I like the balance of those. If a track's really wet, then I'll run like a flip out or a double D. That open pin clears the mud better. But generally when the track's kind of wet but not muddy, I'll run the Sprinter, and usually in green compound in winter. Then as our tracks groove up, the ellipse and dirt web on the rear and front in a green or black compound, depending on the on how cold it is outside. Yeah, that's generally what I've been running.
Ray, thank you so much for all this info. I hope that there's plenty of us good old outdoor lover racers out there that can give this thing through its paces in that good old loamy dirt that we know and love so well. Is there anything else that the people need to know about so far in your experiences with the car?
Just a couple of quick maintenance things. Firstly, keep a really close eye on the grub screws that are on the rear diff outputs. I've seen a couple of those go. You know, it's just every few runs, give them a check. Generally, what I found is that when you first put them in, even if you Loctite them, as everything settles under the first couple of runs, you need to give them a bit of a nip up, and then generally they're pretty good. But that'll end your day very quickly if they come out. It's been on. If you watch Dustin Evans put a video out the other week, just talking about the diff washers on the B74. The first batch, it looks like we're getting the washer that sits on the metal side of the diff behind the gear. They're coning, and then it binds your diff up, and you don't realize, but your car will start to feel strange. The simple fix is a B64 shim kit. The shims are a slightly smaller diameter. You use one of the blue B64 shims instead of the larger diameter B74 shim, and then that fixes the problem. I believe that's being addressed in the kits. That's the only kind of new kit issue that I've come across so far. In terms of spares, I've got to be honest, I haven't broken anything on this car, and I have put it through some massive crashes. When you've got a 5.5 turn in practice, and there's juniors running 21.5, and that on the track, you tend to just have some really really big accidents.
Yeah.
And I haven't broken a thing on this car yet, so it's really really tough. But I would always recommend carry a spare set of arms, front and rear, and a spare front tower. They're the only things that I've seen go on any kind of really really big crash.
Perfect. That's all great information that I'm glad to have, because I haven't gone that far yet. And the bit about the diff, I'll definitely grab that shim kit so that I'll be prepared for that. Thank you so much for all that insight. That's super helpful. I hope that everyone else has found it super helpful. If you guys have any questions, I'll link Ray's locations, channels, and places that you can reach out to him if you want to find him and get some help there. You guys are more than welcome. Drop a comment down below, and I'll do my best to jump in there and answer what I can. Ray is honestly a little bit more educated with this stuff than I am, so if you can, track him down, but I'll help out as best I can. Ray, thank you so much for coming on and being a part of this with us here. I appreciate all of the input, and I always look forward to your setups. I use them at just about every outdoor track that I go to. So even though you're on the other side of the world, you are helping us little Florida boys down here in our J Concept Super Cup series.
Oh, look, man, that's fantastic to hear. You know, we're really passionate here to share our knowledge and get that outdoor love going. Thanks very much to you as well, Ryan, for inviting me onto the show here. The work that you're doing for the industry is fantastic, and I look forward to the final product.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ray. Hope that we can touch base and do some more in the future. Thanks for coming on.
No worries. Thanks very much, mate.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for the video today. Hope you guys enjoyed the information that Spencer and Ray got to share with us. I will do more video on this car in the future when I do a few more things to it, because I have a few pieces of screw kits and some other titanium bits that I'll put on there. But I just wanted this one to be a little bit more close to how the car was out of the box and what we had to say about it. So anyways, if you guys have any questions, drop them down below, like always. And I have linked as much of the information from Spencer and Ray that I found, that I remembered, down in the description below. So if you guys have any questions about that stuff, hopefully that might answer some of it. Anyways, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching and sticking with me. I know I haven't been around for a while, but hoping to crank out some more videos for you guys here in the near future. We'll see you guys next time.